Hi, and welcome to this short provider training video for Sterling Volunteer Portal, where I'm going to be taking you through the basics, how to get registered, how to get set up, and how to manage your volunteers using Sterling's new Team Kinetic system. So first of all, you'll need to navigate to the Sterling Volunteer Portal, which is sterlingvolunteering.org. So nice and simple. From here, you click on Need Volunteers button to register. Okay, you put in your organisation's name. Okay, and details, contact name. Email address. Contact number. We then get to the profile web page. So this is your own mini web page that sits within the Sterling Volunteer Portal. So if somebody turns up and wants to volunteer specifically with you, so they turn up at your organisation, then you could send them straight through to the Sterling Volunteer Portal, but obviously they're going to have to search and find your opportunities. Or you could send them through to your own personal profile page, which is this, followed by test organisation, the name of your organisation, which will show images and information about the volunteering that you do, and it will list all of your kind of open opportunities underneath. I'll come on to that in a bit more detail shortly. Next, you put in the postcodes. Make one up. Okay. Then you obviously just answer these as best you can. Opt in to receive an email, so you will receive emails if they're specifically for you. So if it's a volunteer joins your opportunity, then you would always receive that email. If it's anything that is important, the system kind of deems as important that you're going to need to know this, then you will get it. What you're opting out of here is what we call bulk emails, so emails that are generic. Click on the register button, and it takes you through to this page here. So the first thing it's going to ask you to do is complete your profile and then add opportunities. Now, you don't need to complete your profile, so just add in your image and the information about your organisation, but it is highly recommended because the volunteers can see that. They click on your name when they're searching for opportunities, and it will come up with a blank page unless you fill out your profile. So it's really highly recommended that you do fill out your profile. So we're going to quickly do that. So click on complete your profile. Now these options here, I should say, you can access all these options via the menu because the system knows it's the first time you've just registered, so it's kind of showing you first and foremost. So I'm just going to click on complete your profile, add a new logo. Let's choose a logo. Okay, you just simply select an image. That will do for now. That's a logo file, and then I can add a new image, which is like a splash image, which goes across the top of your profile page. Let's find something relevant. Maybe I do. Okay. And then it tells us again what our profile web page address is. So that's the web page address there. And I put in a bit of text. This is my volunteer program information. Put that in there. I should save that first. Make sure you save it once you do the images. Okay, and click on save. And that's it. So it doesn't take too long to set up your profile. Just a logo, an image, and then a bit of information down here about your organisation. Obviously, yours is going to be longer than that. You can add images in there as well to this section if you want to. Okay, next step is creating your opportunity, first opportunity. So if we go to manage, opportunities here, down to create opportunity. Okay, there's a short video here which will talk you through all the options within creating your first opportunity. Okay, I'm going to skip it though because I'm going to kind of briefly go over it myself. But if you want more detail on it, because it is, there's a lot of options in here, and there needs to be a lot of options to create all the different variations of volunteer opportunities. If you ever want any help on this page, click on the question mark in the top right, or watch that video that first pops up. Probably do both, I recommend. We've got, click on create quick op. If you are, some organisations have their own volunteer system, like the bigger ones, like Bernardo's or Macmillan's, and they manage their volunteering through their own volunteering system, but they still want to recruit volunteers from the Stirling portal. So they would use a quick op just to basically let volunteers join the opportunity, then they would export them over to their own system. But what most organisations will manage their volunteer workforce through the Stirling portal. So they'll do all the recruiting and the managing all within Stirling's volunteer portal, in which case create a full opportunity. So for 99% of you, you'll be creating complete opportunities, put in the opportunity name. So maybe it's, trying to think of a good example. Say it's a litter picking. Okay. Now it's important for these two fields that you do take the time to actually put enough information in there. Sometimes people fall into the trap of saying, I just want it out there as fast as I can to get volunteers to join it. Reality is volunteers won't join it. So you're better off really taking your time and thinking about the wording of these. Obviously, because it's a demo, I'm going to put something very quick, but think about what kind of barriers that volunteers might put in the way between them and volunteering, and try and negate and try and remove those barriers within these sections here. Okay, so you put in the description here. Okay, any benefits and perks. Skills required. And if there is no skills, say no skills, because often volunteers will read the descriptions and they start putting barriers in the way that don't even exist. So if there's definitely no skills required, then please say that. The category, so this would be, what's it come under? Got a category for that. I'm going to put it down as, I'll put it down as youth, for example. Okay, search tags. So this is extra tag words, basically extra search words that you think people might type in where you'd want it to bring up this opportunity. So if they, in the search bar, the volunteer typed in the word litter or picking, then obviously it's going to bring up this opportunity. If they typed in the name of your organisation, again, it would bring up your opportunities. But if they, maybe they might type in something like garbage, press enter afterwards, waste. Okay, so, and now if they type in garbage or waste, it will bring up this opportunity as well, because the system understands then that there's a link between those words and your opportunity. Okay, is it accessible? It's wheelchair accessibility. Yes, it would be. Is it part of a larger event? I'm going to briefly mention this. An event is a group of opportunities that have something in common. So what you can do is create an event. It could be like, my summer festival, and you might link multiple opportunities to that event. You might have handing out refreshments, doing the car park, setting up equipment, different opportunities, but they're all related to the one event. And what that does is it creates a little, right at the top of the search bar, it will list the events. So if someone's interested in volunteering on that particular event, but they don't mind whether they're handing out refreshments or setting up equipment, they click on the event name and it will show all the opportunities linked to that particular event. But that's all I'm going to say about events for now. Location type. So is it a single specific location? Is it at the address, my address as a provider? Is it across an area with no specific locations? So that might be, if it was befriending the elderly, for example, then you wouldn't want to promote the address of that elderly person. You want them to go and visit. But at the same time, the volunteer still needs to know roughly where it is. So that's when you'd use this across an area, which allows you to kind of drop a pin roughly where it is. So it can calculate the distance for the volunteer to the opportunity. Volunteer from home. So this is a really popular one. So have a think, is there anything social media or anything like that where volunteers could help you from their own home? Especially in these COVID times, it's a really popular types of opportunities. we're going to say it's a single specific location. I'm going to choose an address. Make sure you click on select after choosing the address. Make that. I'm going to say it's over here. Drag that over there to the middle of the park. That's where they're going to be meeting. So what we're saying here is where they're going to be. That's where they're going to turn up. And we've put the location of where they're actually going to be turning up. Then we've got some of the choices down here. If you want to share the opportunity with a larger network you belong to, it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about that for now. It doesn't matter if you choose yes or no. It's a secret opportunity. So secret opportunity is essentially, if you know exactly who the volunteers are, who you want on that opportunity, so you don't want to promote it. You don't want it to appear on the search pages for all volunteers on this Stirling portal. Then you can make it a secret opportunity, which means the opportunity is created and it will allow you to email it to individual volunteers or add volunteers manually on yourself if you want to, but it won't appear within the kind of the public-facing search results. Okay. Next one is travel information. So, there's a parking, there's a number 51 bus that stops outside. Expenses. If you do choose expenses, make sure you put in a maximum amount. From experience of seeing people who have made that mistake. So if you're charging 45 pence a mile, put in a maximum amount to make sure you don't get stung. Someone's travelling up from London or somewhere. Files and documents. So you can add files and documents. This might be a health and safety form that you want them to complete and bring along on the day. Might be a map of the area if it's in the middle of a park and showing what the meeting place is. Anything you want really. This is a key one here. Do the volunteers need to apply first? So if it's this is set to no, so this would be fine for this opportunity because there's no application process. When it says applying, think application process. It's more the merrier kind of thing. If you did want to kind of handpick who was successful on the opportunity, who you're going to allow on it and who you were not, then you would change that applying to yes. And what that means is when the volunteers go to join it, rather than saying join, it says apply. And when they click on the apply button, it says, thank you, you'll be informed if you are successful at a later date. If I leave it at no, then they'll see a join button, they'll click on that, and it will say, thanks a lot. Even if you don't hear from us, turn up on the day, essentially. Now, it's usually good practice to give them or drop them an email anyway, even if it is just a joining opportunity, just to touch base with them, especially if they're a new volunteer. Ask for experience when joining. So this will ask the volunteers when they go to join this opportunity to describe in a few words why they believe they are suited to this particular opportunity. And you can see that when after the volunteers have joined the opportunity within the management tools. Restrict to provider linked volunteers. So as a provider, you can't see every volunteer details on the entire Stirling portal for obvious reasons. But you can see volunteers who meet the 3 criteria. They basically become your linked volunteers. And these are volunteers who have previously joined any of your opportunities, volunteers who have registered via your provider profile page, which we set up earlier on, or volunteers who have been manually linked to you by an administrator. Okay. Maximum sessions per volunteer, don't worry about that. You've got some restrictions here about age and gender. Obviously, if you're going to restrict by gender, there has to be a very good reason for it. There are some good reasons out there, but there has to be a good reason for it. You can allow volunteers to upload files back onto your opportunity if you want to here, like a completed health and safety form, for example. If you have any survey, you want them to complete a survey afterwards, then you can do that, whether it's SurveyMonkey or Google Forms. You can choose yes there and put in the link there, and that will ask the volunteers when they go to log their hours after they've turned up and helped you out to complete a survey. Then we've got these 2 buttons down the bottom. This is another important one. The applying option is important, and these 2 are important as well. So this is essentially what we've done up to now is we've explained what the opportunity is about and what restrictions are in place. This is about when it's happening and for how long it's happening for. If you know exactly when they're turning up and for how long, then it's going to be sessions, creating sessions. So for example, if it was I was a netball club and I needed a netball coach to turn up Tuesday nights for 7 o'clock for 2 hours every week, then that's session based. I know when they're turning up and for how long. Okay. And once I choose sessions, it allows me, is it a recurring session? Meaning, is there a pattern to the sessions? Yes, it is. It's every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. Or it may be you may need to add on the sessions individually. So say if it's an event that you're running and you need people on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, there's no real pattern to that. 3 sequential days, that's it, I suppose. So it's often easier just to choose, click on here, say how many sessions they are, and manually choose the dates and the times for those sessions. Okay, where this option you can say start on Tuesday, happens every Tuesday night for on a weekly basis for 52 weeks, and it will create those 52 sessions automatically for you. Okay, so we're going to say it's a recurring session, maximum volunteers per session. So I suppose I should at this stage explain what it means by session. So we know what the opportunity is, that's the detail of what they're going to be doing. The session, as I said, is when they're turning up and for how long. And this is saying maximum volunteers per session. So if I have 2 sessions and the maximum volunteers is set to 10, it means theoretically I could have 20 different volunteers turning up over those 2 sessions. 10 on session 1 and 10 on session 2. Okay, I might have a number of volunteers who join both sessions. That's probably what would happen. So I wouldn't have 20. But yes, maximum volunteers per session is the key thing. So I'll say, I could manage 15 volunteers who are helping me tidy up. Any more than that, and it'd be a bit of a handful. It starts on this, Google's getting in the way here. It starts on this Saturday, takes place every week and goes on for 10 weeks. And we're going to say it starts at 11 o'clock in the morning for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Okay, so once I'm happy with that, I click on add new opportunity. Flexible opportunities are basically, I should say, flexible opportunities are when you don't know. So essentially you can just say it's a start and an end date. It starts tomorrow, it goes on for a year. I don't know exactly when they're going to turn up. So maybe if you, something like say if you were helping out a sports club and you were a committee member or something like that. You don't know when all the committee meetings are going to be. So that would be a flexible opportunity. Okay. So that's it. It's create the opportunity. The opportunity is closed because it's awaiting authorization from the administrator. So I'm going to quickly pause this while I authorize it from the administrator's position. Okay, so I've just authorized that from so Sterling Portal will obviously be authorizing that. You'll get an email once it's been once your opportunity has been authorized. So if I refresh that page, okay, opportunity is now open. It was closed before, now it's open. So when it's open, it means that it's searchable. Okay, so what we're going to do now is show you from the volunteer side what they can see. Okay, so if we open, if I take the web address from here, I'll show you from the volunteer side. Okay, so from the volunteer side, they could type in a search word like litter, for example, and it will automatically pop up below. Or they may just click on the search button here. Okay, and they can see the opportunity. Click on the details, okay, and it won't let me join the opportunity yet because I haven't registered. We can see all the sessions down here. Once I've registered, I'd be able to, as a volunteer, there's a button which will say either join or apply listed down here. Once they do join your opportunity, you'll receive an email then telling you the volunteers joined it. You need to log in and probably check the details, maybe drop them an email. And that's that. So I'm going to pause it quickly while I put a volunteer on this opportunity. Okay, so I'll now put a volunteer on this opportunity. So I'm going to go back, get rid of that, and go back to your view, the provider's view. Let's refresh that page. Okay, now we've got one volunteer on the opportunity. This little graph down here gives you lets you know how many people have actually clicked on the opportunity to see more information on it. And from the search bar, there was a details button that I clicked on. So this gives you a bit of insight into how many people are clicking in. Now, if lots of people are clicking on it, but no one's joining it, alarm bells should be ringing in your head. Why are they not joining it? Have I restricted it too much, etc. So once I've seen a volunteer, if I click on the sessions down here, then I can see that this one here has got a volunteer on it, and it's called Denise Kelly. I can even click on a name. I can see her email address and phone number down here. Click on a name, which gives me more information about that particular volunteer. I could manually add somebody into this session to turn up at 11 o'clock on the 30th by clicking on the plus button if I wanted to. But obviously that volunteer has to be linked to me, as I said before. They have to be linked to me for me to do that. Okay. I could change the session times using the edit cog here. I could email everybody on this session. I'll click on the email cog, or I could just delete the session if I wanted to. If I wanted to add more, so say 10 weeks have passed, I need to add more sessions on there. I use the add sessions button up here. I won't go through all these options down here. The majority of them are just showing the information that we use when we set up the opportunity, like the details, for example, and the location. In terms of ones that you may be interested in, those chat rooms on opportunities. So volunteers who have joined your opportunity, they can use its own private chat room to kind of ask questions like, what clothing are people wearing on the day and things like that. You can download to CSV, which is Excel. So you can download a list of all the volunteers to Excel if you want to. You can promote the opportunity via your Facebook or your Twitter or via email if you want to. So if you made an opportunity secret, there's a good chance you need to tell those volunteers that, there's 4 volunteers that you want on the opportunity and you've already discussed it with them. Just you click on the invite via email button and send it directly to them. Because it's a secret opportunity, it wouldn't be on the search pages, as I've discussed before. Copy is a really good one, convert and copy. So if you've got an opportunity you want to create one which is very similar to one you've just created, or you've created previously, you can copy the opportunity and then change the details. So that might be something like, maybe it's exactly the same opportunity that you created last year, but you want it to do it again this year. You copy last year's opportunity and just change the dates. Okay. Or maybe the location is different. Everything's the same apart from the location. So the volunteer is on there. That's great. If I click on the volunteers tab, it shows me all volunteers regardless of what sessions are on. If I click on the sessions, and obviously, as you saw before, I can see exactly what sessions they've signed up to. Once the volunteer, at this stage here, the volunteer is going to turn up. Hopefully they'll have a great time. And then they'll go away. And then the next final step is logging the hours. Now, volunteers can log their hours and providers can log their hours, and they're stored separately. It should be the same. The really important one is the hours that you log. And it's really important for Stirling Portal, and it's important for the volunteers as well, because all of their incentives within the system, all of them are based on the hours that you log, that you say the volunteer has done. Okay. Now, there's not going to be any hours to log yet because none of those sessions have passed. Okay, so what I'm going to do is pause it quickly, and I'm going to push one of them sessions into the past, and then you'll be able to see the login hours process. Okay, I've just pushed one of the sessions into the past. So now when I click on the log hours button, you get the volunteer here. First thing it's going to ask you when you come to login hours is only once, not every single time you log hours, but it'll ask you to give a bit of feedback. This kind of feedback is basically your chance to say thank you. It's really important that you do say thank you to the volunteers. It's the best kind of way of incentivizing volunteers to do more. So either thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay. Thumbs up, hopefully it will be. Volunteer. Click on save. Then the next thing it tells you is, okay, Denise has logged 0 hours, so the volunteer has logged no hours, and I've logged no hours. Now I can either log the hours individually if I think she didn't do the full day, or the full session, she did part of a session, or I can log the maximum hours, which will say, okay, system knows that it was, I forget how long the session was, but it knows the length of the session, and it will just log them for the maximum amount. If you're doing lots and lots of volunteers at once, you might want to use the bulk feedback and hour logging feature up here. So I'll say log the maximum hours, 2 hours, 2.25 hours. Okay, and that's it. So the volunteer will be aware that you've logged those hours now, left a feedback, and the volunteer will leave some feedback on you, and it'll be a thank you message more often than not. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is inviting volunteers. Okay, so when you invite, if you know some volunteers who you're managing or you're kind of working with at the moment, obviously there's a lot of bonuses from getting them on the system in terms of it's so much easier to manage the volunteers once they're on the system. You've got all these communication tools and structuring of when they're turning up, etc. So to invite volunteers, okay, so we've got the invite volunteers page. So you just simply put in the email addresses here, or you can upload them from an Excel CSV, an Excel file if you want to. You put them in Excel, just basically evidence in column A, you just list them all down there, and then you just save the Excel file as a CSV file. Okay, I'm sure most of you are are aware of. Most of you are aware of. Yeah, you as a CSV file, and then upload it, and then it will automatically send out the invites to them. Once you've sent out the invites, the great bonus of this is when you go to invited volunteers. Let's put one in here. Made up. Send out an invite. When I go down to the invited volunteers, I can see that the volunteer, it's been sent to the volunteer, and it lets me know if the volunteer has gone on to register. So you can track automatically without having to ask the volunteer. You can see whether they've actually actioned it, whether they've received the email and actually gone on to register. If they do register, they will automatically be linked to you. Obviously, that'll be another way they can be linked directly to you as a provider. Okay. The next little tip is creating groups. So groups, basically these are groups of volunteers essentially, and they can be used for anything at all. So to create a group, I might say, okay then, add a group here. It's going to be called minibus drivers. Add that group in. Now I could use this for either sending communications, so I can quickly find any volunteer who's in this group and send an email to them, or I could restrict an opportunity to this group of volunteers, so only this group of volunteers can get on it. But first of all, we've created the group, we need to put the volunteers in that group. So I go to Manage Volunteers, down to Search Volunteers. Okay, select the checkbox there. Go down to Change Group and select the group to add it to. Click on the Add button. That's it. It's in that group. So if I want to limit an opportunity to that group, then I can do that when I'm creating the opportunity. Or if I want to send an email to volunteers in that group, I mean, you can do it from a few places, but one of the easiest ways is when you're on this Search Volunteers page, using the filters down here. Oh, another thing as well, there's some fantastic filters in here. Get familiar with the filters if you can. You can kind of work out which volunteers, where they're coming from geographically, and when they've registered and when they've joined opportunities last, and all these kind of things. So, but we're going to look at group member, add, your name, okay, and the group member of minibus drivers. Click on search. You can't really see it here, but you get the idea. It brings up all volunteers within that group there. Okay. Next we've got reports. Oh, there is a log all hours option there, which is another speedy way of logging hours if you've got lots outstanding. Reports. There's a number of reports on here. I mean, I won't go through them all, but it gives you a breakdown of how many volunteers are kind of linked to you, how many have gone on to join opportunities, kind of breakup of like basic KPI information, reports on your opportunities. Obviously, there's not a lot of activity at the moment, so it looks quite bare. But yeah, some great stuff in there. And finally, we've got help. There's loads of video tutorials on here and resources that are available. Sometimes is the Create Opportunities page. That's the most common one. If you're on any page within the system, including this page here, click on that. Click on the question mark in the top right-hand corner, and it will all show you help topics related to the actual page you're looking at. I know often I've used a lot of different software over the years, and often the help are no good. The help in this Team Kinetic and the Sterling Volunteer Portal, Team Kinetic system, is exceptionally good. So you'll definitely find lots of help videos, and should help you on your way. That's it, really. Like I say, if you do have any issues, make sure you contact Sterling Volunteer Portal, and they'll be happy to help you out. And thank you for your time.